Portimao is primed and set. The drivers are poised and ready. And the fabulous region of the Algarve is as serene as it always is with its stunning southern coastline. Around 200 of the world's finest drivers have descended on this beautiful part of the world, ready to do battle for the second round of the Champions of the Future in OK and the OKJ categories. We have had the qualifying heats, we have had the super heats. It is now time for the finals here at the Cartódromo Internacional do Algarve. Year of opening 2010. Event record set by Joe Turney with a 55.056 set in time qualifying. No one has been managing to get anywhere near that time from qualifying earlier this weekend. The track itself, though, is a pure roller coaster of a circuit. It's over 1,500 meters in length. It's 192 meters down the start-finish straight, 152 down the next straight into the first braking zone of turns 2 and 3. It's around 8 to 10 meters wide with an elevation change of around 5 meters across the 1.5 kilometer long circuit from the lowest point down at turn 13 to the highest point at around turn number 1. The track itself, though, 17 turns in total, 10 to the right, 7 to the left, and that one hairpin. Each and every one of those 17 corners provides its own unique challenges, but many of them provide their own overtaking opportunities as well. We see them in towards turn 3, 5, 8, 13 and 14 and turn 16, as well as also potentially into towards turn 17 as well. We've seen them all over the place around this lap, which means it's very difficult to break away from anyone else. Top speed, drivers will be reaching around about 140 kilometers an hour in the senior category, down towards turn number 1. Average speed of around 100 kilometers an hour as well. It's very fast, it's very flowing, but it is a roller coaster of a circuit. But I could talk about the track all day, but what about tyres? They've been the main focal point. Let's dive in and take a look at a lap around here with those Maxxis branded tyres.
Let's go on board for a lap around the Cartódromo Internacional do Algarve. We launch down the main straight with engines screaming at maximum RPM, reaching top speeds of 137 kilometers an hour. Now comes the first major braking zone down the hill. This one is from that top speed all the way down to 58 kilometers an hour. This is a tricky braking zone where it's very easy to get it wrong. The next complex of corners from turn 3 to 5, this one puts the front left tyre under serious pressure, pushing it to the limits with each rotation as you head around the tight hairpin corner before you head up the hill, because this is where it starts to get a little bit tricky for the drivers. You breathe slightly now with this stretch. This is the only part of the track where tyres cool down, but make a mistake beyond this point and you'll be running hot until you're back here again on the next lap. Approaching turn 8, this is another intense braking zone, dropping from nearly 130 kilometers an hour to 65 in just 60 meters. That's less than 2.5 seconds into the braking zone. Turn 11 is one of the 2 most punishing corners for the tyres, where temperatures soar beyond 110 degrees Celsius under extreme loads. These are incredible temperatures that drivers need to make sure that they handle over the course of a lap. Here, the kart slowed down from around 120 to under 55 kilometers an hour in just 55 meters, the slowest point of the lap, all in only 2.5 seconds. The final part of the circuit here is so demanding on a driver and the tyre. As you go through turns 16 and 17, the final corners now, fast and sweeping, pushing massive strain on the tyres. Once more, temperatures climbing back to over 110 degrees Celsius. All the meanwhile, you've got to keep those temps down as you finish the lap here at the Algarve circuit.
Very good stuff there on board around a lap of this 1.5 kilometre circuit. There are the scenes on the grid getting ready for the first final of the afternoon here. OK Junior, 17 laps, 26 kilometres to decide who's going to be the victor for round 2 of the 2025 Champions of the Future Euro Series season. Let's talk about our competitors. Drivers from the year of their 12th birthday up to 14 years of age. Many entries at the start of this week have been whittled down to the top 36. 37 nations represented across the course of this category. 125cc power units, of course, producing around 29 horsepower. The minimum weight, including the driver, for OK Junior is, of course, 140 kilograms, half of that weight without fuel being the kart itself. Here are the tyres. It's only been the Maxxis options that we've seen be used so far this weekend. Everyone has a new set for the final. No need for the Maxxis rain tyres. 6 tyres have navigated these drivers all the way through their 5 rounds of qualifying heats, timed qualifying as well, we should remember, and of course the super heats that we saw earlier on this morning. Anthony, I really can't call this. This has been, OK Junior this week has been so wide open. You've had drivers on the rise, then suddenly have mechanical problems, fall back down. This being a final, we always say it's a bit of a one-off. You kind of put all of those heats to the back of our minds. There is race director Martin Bean having a quick discussion with Noah Baglin on the left-hand side of your screen, Henry Domain on the right. Those are our 2 drivers who will be starting on the front row for this final.
Yes, indeed, but by our calculations, they should be opposing each other. They should be on the opposite sides. However, have they chosen to switch sides again? We don't know. That hasn't been told to us just yet, but I look out the commentary box window, and yes, I think the answer to that is indeed yes, and there you go. That graphic will tell us that. So it doesn't mean that Henry Domain is on pole now, not by any stretch of the imagination. It's still Baglin on pole. However, he has just decided he wants to start on the anti-pole side of the grid, and the front row, as the pole sitter, does have that right as Baglin gets himself ready for this one. Winner of his superheat earlier on in the day. However, when it came to his final, the last time out in the championship, it was only a P7 for him in that one. Here is how the driver championship standings look as it is for these drivers going into it. Ila Christian still leading the way with 125 points. Domain with the 112. Kalesia with 107 from Dean Hugendorn. So that has changed massively from the 1 point difference that we have seen going into this weekend. But Christian now in control of it, but not by a large chunk. Baglin, who starts this one on pole, is currently 5th in the points. 75 points to his name. Remember, a win in these final is 50 championship points. That would be a nice tally on top of that. And of course, if you get the fastest lap of the race as well, it's an extra 1 point on top of that also. Lucas Sells currently 6th in the points from Will Green. Drew Waltz and Devin Waltz, the 2 American brothers, 8th and 9th in the championship. That's going to be an interesting dinner conversation between the 2 of them. Bruno Blanco of Italy rounds out the top 10 in those points for the Paralympic Motorsport team. But at the moment, good to see that it's Tony Kart Racing back on the top. It feels like the last couple of years we've seen domination from Kart Republic. Nice to see the OTK product back on the top steps in the championship standings.
And yeah, Eli Christian, of course, back again from a good season last year. He's got a good amount of experience in this category, serving him well in the first half of 2025. For me, though, the team to beat as a wider group is probably Forza Racing. We've seen them be very, very quick across the course of the weekend. They've had some mishaps along the way as well. It's not been a perfect weekend for the likes of Henry Domain, William Kalesia and others. Here is your grid for the final then. Noah Baglin, as mentioned, will start this race from pole position. Henry Domain will be alongside on the front row. Championship leader Eli Christian will be on row number 2. He's joined by Devin Waltz, Lucas Schell and William Kalesia go from row number 3. Jesse Phillips and Luke Tarl will start on row 4. 2 of the newer drivers to this category, Antonio Pizzonia Jr. and Will Green, start on row number 5. Manuel Miguez and Remy Samchik go from row number 6. Watch out for Denny Babicek and Endo Arata going from row number 7. Drew Waltz and Mark Pilipenko start on row 8. Turner Brown and Valerio Villapiana start on row 9.
Iskender Sulfakari starts this one on row 10. The driver representing Turkey, disqualified from his superheat earlier on, finds himself right in the middle of the pack. Oliver Warner, who was also out of that superheat earlier on from an incident, finds himself alongside on that 10th row of the grid. Mateo Rivals and Jean-Mathieu Rousseau go from row 11. They'll have Alexander Lazarus and Tobias Legenny on row 12. Evan Purcell and Henry Constant Kupin go from row 13. They'll have Mats van Ruin and Casper Reipold on row 14. Samuel Hugon and Bruno Blanco round out the top 30. They go from row 15. And then second in the final, last time out in Campillos, Dean Hugendorn starts this one all the way back on the 16th row of the grid with Bosco Arias for company alongside. Dan Alaman and Nikita Lubimov go from row 17, with Benjamin Magnac and Pietro Baguti rounding out the entirety of the 36-car field. So many of those names, Andrew, seemingly look to be out of where they should be in terms of positions.
And I think that pretty much sums up how the category's been so far this weekend. I think there's going to be a lot of nerves out there ahead of this one. Lots of uncertainty for the drivers. Track conditions, very good for the drivers. Bone dry circuit that's nicely rubbered in now as well. Temperatures in the low to mid 20s. Bit of a breeze across the circuit. Actually, the air temperature's dropped to 19 degrees at the moment, but still very good for the drivers. Not too hot, not a spot of rain in sight. Beautiful, clear blue skies here in Portugal for the start of this race.
It certainly is indeed. There is your current championship leader, Eli Christian of Canada, starting this on the inside of row number 2. Of course, Baglin choosing to switch sides means that Christian won't get the best getaway at the start of this race. I've got to say, you were mentioning it briefly earlier on, he had a decent season last year in the Champions of the Future, only scored 6 championship points in total at the end of the season, is in round 2 and has already got 125. That's a stark difference for Eli Christian from last year to this year. There, starting alongside him though, Devin Waltz, the American, who'll be fighting with his brother Drew Waltz, who is out there starting a little further down in the order, but they're neck and neck in the championship standings at the moment. Those two will certainly be having a good fight throughout this one. There's a brief look at the amazing Portugal circuit just in the background there, the main Grand Prix circuit here that's hosted Formula 1 and MotoGP, as well as a smattering of others, and this weekend hosting GT racing and some TCR racing, and I think some Formula racing as well.
Single seaters out there, a bit of everything here this weekend at the Algarve Race Resort. Time coming up to 1 p.m. local time here. Thank you for joining us around the world for round 2 of the Champions of the Future Euro Series 2025. William Kalesia there is in for a good one. Victory Lane's drivers also out for some strong running here. A bit of a strange weekend in a way for William Kalesia, because it's all going so well up to round number 5 of those qualifying heats, but it was then the throttle cable snapping is what we've had reported to us. Not completely out of things though, starting there on the outside of row number 3. Lucas Sell we had a quick look at there as well. Lucas Sell has been a bit of a surprise this season. Good to have the French driver back. He's currently highly ranked up in the points. He's got a good number on the board and in a close battle with Noah Baglin. Yeah, indeed. So plenty to play for in this one. Marshals are out there. They are primed and ready as well. Without their dedication and hard work, we couldn't go racing, of course, and they have been making sure the drivers stay nice and safe, and the track continues running throughout this weekend. So we say a big thank you to the Orange Army that is here this weekend at the Algarve circuit in Portugal. There on your screen, primed and ready for the Victory Lane team. That is William Kalesia lining himself up. He was chatting very soon with, oh no, sorry, that's Luke Tal, who starts this one on the 4th row of the grid. He was chatting earlier on with Lucas Sell, his fellow Victory Lane team mate, who's starting a little further up ahead. So Luke Tal certainly one to keep an eye on here, because again, some good results from him. He did finish P6 in his superheat earlier on this weekend, and he did also have some good results as well. 17th in qualifying. His best result has been a 2nd place out on track for Luke Tal, so he's certainly one to keep a very close eye on throughout this next very long race, I will say, for these drivers. 17 laps. That is a huge chunk that they've got to do. A total of 26-kilometre race distance ahead of these drivers. But it all falls down to this one. Brand new tyres on board. Everyone is on the same playing field now as they get themselves primed and ready for this. Viewing areas are filled. The spectators here at the circuit are ready. Drivers are ready. Are you, the viewer at home, ready though? Because it's all about to kick off as the engines get fire up. OK, junior drivers head off the pre-grid. They head for their formation laps to get those tyres up to temperature. And now
Andrew, this is where it really starts to heat up, because now it's starting to really get an idea of how these drivers are feeling, because you'll see some drivers, they'll really get temperature into the tyres, they'll weave a lot. That kind of shows a driver who's like, I'm focused, I'm ready, I want to get this done. You'll see some drivers who will be nice and smooth and calm, and they're the ones usually you have to watch out for.
There's a look into race control. Joanna Falcao, the head of race control here this weekend, in the centre, flanked by David Manchester on her right, Sam Fisher on her left. They'll be looking over the huge bank of camera angles around this circuit. There's nothing that they do not miss. This is actually the first time, of course, that the drivers have had fresh boots in a competitive situation since the start of timed qualifying on Thursday. Now, the conditions are pretty similar to those timed qualifying sessions, but to say that those three groups of qualifying laps were disjointed would be an understatement. So a lot of these drivers may not be fully comfortable with how to hit the tyres hard early in this race. It's going to be a key one for everybody out there to get into a rhythm but not cook the tyre too early. It's good temperatures here. It's not too high. It's not higher than to the heights of some of the temperatures we'll see later on in the season in other parts of the world. 20 degrees air temperature. Track is, of course, dry. Noah Baglin leading the field round on this formation lap. Henry Domain in a few moments will draw alongside. And it really is those two drivers who've been able to keep their heads cool so far this weekend. Baglin, in his time qualifying session, just went out on his own, just wanted to get a solid lap time in. Didn't have a tow, meant he was a little bit further back, but has been able to race himself through the order and take pole position for this one. Henry Domain was the fastest driver in TQ on Thursday, so we know he's got good pace on new tyres out of the box, Anthony.
Certainly so. We'll be going to so many fantastic tracks over the course of the 2025 season, but it's something about the Portimao circuit that really resonates with the drivers. It is a driver's circuit, this one. Fast and flowing, yet demanding on the driver and their equipment. Into the tram line. So the last time for Junior this weekend. Are we racing? No, we're not. They are going round again. A little bit too eager again once more on that loud pedal out of the final corner.
Indeed. So another formation lap for the drivers. They won't lose any laps, of course. It'll still be 17 laps for everybody out there. As an indication of how breezy it is at the circuit. Not as breezy as yesterday, but still a headwind as well, and that's been a key across the course of this weekend. If you've just joined us here for the final, that's a headwind down the main straight, meaning that the slipstream, the power of the slipstream is going to be pretty powerful in this final. It does mean, though, that when they get to turn 2, the first of the big braking zones, it is a crosswind. And we have seen some thrills and spills and some incidents earlier on this morning in the superheats. It's not that easy. It's almost one of those corners you've got such a long time to think about it, haven't you, Anthony? That when you get to your braking point, very easy to just overstep it. Yeah,
and we have seen those incidents there at that corner, and it is the fastest part as well of the track. And when you do add that to, you know, a full grid going into it, yeah, it's always like a bit of a heart-in-mouth moment. Hold your breath and let's see if they all get through. Right, drivers once again heading into that final corner. You can see the banking area there filled with mechanics, family, friends, spectators alike ready to watch this race as once more we're into the tram lines. Is it good this time around? Yes, it is. Lights are out. We are racing. It's good stuff for the outside line. Of course, the anti-pole side will get the whole shot because they have switched side. Baglin holds on to the lead as they head down in towards turns 2 and 3 for the first time. Are they all going to make it through cleanly? Hold your breath. 3, 4, 5 wide, and I think they are all going to make it through, which is good to see. Everyone screams down in towards turn number 5 for the first time. There's a lot of dust that has been kicked up, but I believe all 36 carts are still rotating, and it is still Baglin who leads the way at the moment down into the braking zone of 8 and 9.
It was very tight on the exit of turn 4. Many drivers understeering on their new tyres as there's some spills in the background that we'll catch up with in a minute. It's always that Turner Brown. No, it's not. It's another one of the RFMs. It's Bosco Arias who started on the 16th row of the grid for this one. So Bosco Arias is out of contention, having bravely broken through into the top 36. Eli Christian has lost quite a few places in the early stages. We have seen this be a feature of this circuit over the past 2 days, that if there is a front row switch, the driver starting in third place, often a great place to be, suffers in the opening exchanges. And Christian, yes, is down to P8 in the order right now. It's Baglin leading. Waltz there in third. Luke Tahl is up to third. Got a move done on William Kalija there. Kalija's been shuffled back down to 8th. Very close, of course, in the championship picture there, with Kalija now having taken the live points lead from Christian and Domain, but only 3 points covering those 3 drivers.
Nice and close in the championship, but it is still, of course, very early doors in it as an attack on second place. Luke Tahl sends it down the inside of Devin Waltz and squeezes that victory lane kart machine into P2 now. That just gives a little bit of breathing space now to Noah Baglin, who has broken away by now 0.4 of a second, but Cantal and Waltz and Domain close in. Well, Domain's going to try and go for third place. He thinks against it though, stays behind into P4, but look at that, the slipstream once again has played into the drivers behind their favour, and they've closed right back in again.
And this is what we're on about with OK Junior here this weekend. The first 9 heats of this weekend had 8 different winners. It's been so back and forth, and the driver on the attack here in the final. Oh, Luke Tahl had a bit of a twitch there under braking for turn 8. Luke Tahl's not won a race so far this weekend. Had a decent first 2 rounds of the meeting in the qualifying heats, 3rd and 2nd, but then was no higher than 4th in the other races through the 3 remaining qualifying heats in the super heat this morning. So this is a pleasant surprise for Luke Tahl that he's right up there in 2nd place. What has Noah Baglin got, as there's a fight there involving Eli Christian, and Christian is through. The championship leader coming back through the field. That's the Canadian up to 5th place.
It is at the expense of Will Green and Samchek, though. They go down to 6th and 7th, but they are still up in this race. 6 and 3 places, so they've had a very good run. Another driver who's had a very good start to his final is currently Casper Reipold, 11 places gained. He's into P17. Dean Hugendorn as well. Keep an eye on him. He's had some fabulous races over the course of the weekend right now. This is the replay out of turn 16. And that is a CRG off the circuit and going backwards. That's not what you'd like to see. And I'm just trying to think, is that Manuel Maguez in the CRG, who has gone down 4 places so far in this race and not had the best starts of the race. There is someone going very slow, and that's not good at all for Henrik Constant Kupin, unfortunately. The driver of the number 33 factory Tony Kart team, seemingly going very slowly and has had a problem out on track. Well, let's see if he can maintain his decorum in this one. Baglin and Tahl have broken away. Domain, Waltz, Chris and Samchek Green are in one big fight just behind. You've got a battle for first with 2 karts, a battle for third with 4 karts right now as they head down in towards turn number 5.
Good stuff here from Baglin and Tahl. They're keeping the pace high, as you say there, Anthony. Henry Domain is there in third. Fastest lap of the race so far is a 57.982 for Benjamin Maniac. We're on lap number 5 of 17, still plenty of time to go. Luke Tahl, the advance seems to have at least been stopped right now from Noah Baglin. He had to put in some defensive manoeuvres. Here, now behind, is that Eli Christian having a moment with one of the Kart Republics, possibly the number 54 of Devin Waltz, who's definitely one of the TK runners in there. And yeah,
Chris has gone down to 16th.
Yeah. So problems for the championship leader. Back at the front of the order, Tahl. I think right now, Anthony, just quite happy to sit and let Noah Baglin do all the hard work, punch that hole in the air, knowing that you've got a lot of laps to go. We've still got the full length of the superheat and more remaining in this one, so it doesn't need to go too hard too early. Dean Hugendorn, what a roller coaster weekend Dean Hugendorn has had. Was stone dead last in timed qualifying, had some great qualifying heats to come back through the field. Then it looked like it had all gone wrong in the superheat, but he somehow managed to get himself right onto the back of this grid. He is the fastest driver out there right now. Yes, Hugendorn is not going to be a feature at the very front of the field here today, Anthony, but if Hugendorn's progress can take him up into the top 15, get some championship points on the board, in what is a damage limitation weekend for the driver who started the weekend second in the standings, of course. That would be very good news indeed. Not good news for the one driver who was ahead of him at the start of the weekend. That was a 5-second warning flag penalty for the number 33. So further problems out there for Ili Christian.
Yeah, indeed, not having the final he wanted this time around in round 2. But certainly for the others, it is going their way as we keep an eye on these battles that are keeping up throughout the lap. Now, Henry Domain, who currently sits in 3rd place, is now the current championship leader. He has 150 championship points and is clear by quite a few from Kalesia. So if he can gain more places, he only extends that championship lead. However, with him being in 3rd, not really latching on to the 2 in front here. He's lost the slipstream, he's lost the toe from those. He has got the bump draft from Green. Is he going to work with Green or is he going to defend from Green? Well, I can tell you already he's lost out to Green because Green's got through into 3rd place, and now he could try and latch onto the back of him if Green can close in on these 2 ahead.
It's a very good start to the race meeting for Will Green, who's now been re-overtaken by Henry Domain. Will Green took the first 2 heat wins, or took 2 heat wins in the first 2 rounds, and was the points leader in the intermediate classification overnight from Thursday to Friday. It's been another very impressive run from the Williams Academy driver. Right now, though, these 3 not able to close in on Baglin and Tal. 57.7 last time around for Baglin, 57.8 for Tal, 57.9s for the others. It's getting close out there. Drivers starting to perhaps panic a bit as Samchik gets through for P4.
Yeah, it was a failed attempt from Will Green there on Domain on the exit of turn 14. Just tried to get it down the inside. It did not work for him. Lost a lot of momentum up the hill and just went backwards. There was the initial overtake back pass for Domain as he lost it on the start-finish straight, as Hugendorf now receives a 5-second time penalty. So that's not gone his way at all either. Yeah, now with those overtakes happening thick and fast back there, that's kind of brought the pack all into play now because Phillips has closed in. Kalesia has closed back in now, as well as Devon Waltz, and Kalesia is probably the driver who wants to capitalise the most after that scrap, because he's fighting 2nd in the championship. He is a fair chunk of points behind. He's got 129 from the Domain's 150, but if he can get towards Domain, bring him back into the pack and get ahead of him, it might change things around a bit.
Could well do just that. Just to confirm as well that the 33, the 35 and the 56 have all got 5-second in-race time penalties. So that's Kumpen, Christen and Hugendorf with us into the second half of this race. 9 laps down, 8 to go. Baglin still leads by 0.4 of a second. I just feel he's starting to stretch his legs now, is Noah Baglin. He's in such tremendous form at the moment in this OK Junior category. Luke Tal not quite able to keep with the young Briton. I'm saying that was a decent first sector from Luke Tal, but the trouble for Tal right now is, you know, he almost needs someone on his rear bumper just to push him along and edge him towards Noah Baglin. Baglin's got no need to defend right now. Tal, if he's going to take his first win of the weekend, his first win of the season, he needs some help from behind with the likes of Domain, Green and Phillips.
He certainly will do. Now the race is nearing its conclusion, but there's still a ways to go as they head over the start-finish line. Now we're on to lap 11 of this race. A big look over the shoulder there for Domain. Now he was watching a long way down that straight, wasn't he? Just to see what Green was going to do. Now Green has got back past. Is there a plan for this? Because I think he was thinking, what's behind Green? He would have seen that Phillips is there, and he keeps checking over the shoulder, does Domain. That's a lot of shoulder checks I'm seeing with him, and that's quite an unusual thing at this stage of a final.
It doesn't indicate that there's a confident driver with the package underneath him. I'm a bit surprised that the Forza Racing drivers haven't been able to make that big an impression on this final so far. Will Green's next lap is very, very important to see if he can start to chip away at what currently is a 1.7 second gap between himself and Luke Tal. You can see Will Green pushing on there, and a tremendous 2024 in mini kart categories, both on a national and continental level. This has been a mighty all step up into the OK Junior ranks for Will Green, from a very strong racing family, of course. Under investigation for potentially causing a collision. It's the number 30 of Nikita Lubomov. Lubomov is currently down in P32, so that's not going to be a big factor in terms of the points-paying positions here today. But it is worth noting. It's another note from race control.
Yeah, indeed. They've been quite busy in this final so far. That's quite a few warning flags that have gone out and quite a few investigations that have headed to the officials for this final, which means they're going to have their work cut out in this one. Samchek and Devon Waltz tumbling down the order on our timing screen there. Has there been a moment for the two of them out there on circuit? Because, yeah, so you're pointing at something.
Turn 8.
Yeah, turn number 8. Out the commentary box window, we can see it, and that's unfortunate for them. Their final is not looking great.
No, and that's going to be both of them out of the points as well. Will Green's had a good go at trying to chip away at that gap, but unfortunately he's just not able to carry the kind of momentum to bring the gap between himself and Tyle down in a significant manner. Domain and Phillips continuing to close in. Jesse Phillips has had a good weekend. Anthony, a lot of eyes on Jesse Phillips this year in what is the second year for him in the junior ranks. There is Remy Samchik. Out of this race and understandably not happy at all.
And there's more drama as well. Antonio Petonia and Endo Arata have also come together. That's at turn number 2 on the lap as well. And they are both out of this race. They will go no further, and that's a big shame for them, especially Endo Arata. He was looking so strong in the super heats earlier on. It was looking really good in the qualifying heats later on in the weekend. And now in this final, there he is in the Marshall post around turn 2 and out of the race and a bit distraught, I can imagine.
Final finishes in the way that the qualifying heat started for the Japanese driver in not a good result at all. Antonio Pizzonia has had good speed so far this weekend, joined the point scorers for the first time in this 2025 championship, but won't score further in the final. Dean Hugendorn, by the way, is up into the top 15. We were talking about potentially some points for Hugendorn. Yes, he has that 5-second penalty to be applied, but it's not beyond doubt now. Is this going to be the moment between Pizzonia and Arata? No, that's Phillips getting past Domain for 4th place. It's allowed Will Green to stretch his legs a little bit, but right now, with only a few laps to go, 3 of them to go, Noah Baglin, like we saw in Campios for a good number of the races involving Noah Baglin, is right on form and looking very, very difficult to beat.
Yeah, he certainly is, but he's not broken fully away here. Luke Tal has been a thorn in his side throughout the entirety of this. One tiny little mistake, and look, a check over the shoulder as well from Baglin. That's got to give a green light to Luke Tal here to go for potentially what could be his first final win of what I can remember of his junior career so far in the Champions of the Future. So brilliant stuff for him if he can do that, but that is going to be a tall order because 1, he's got to close in a half a second gap, and then 2, he's actually got to then get past Baglin. There's the train behind, and you can see how quickly they've been pushing their way through and how them gaps are looking. And like we're saying, there's been some big movers in this one. Turner Brown, as we've mentioned, is up inside the top 10 after gaining 10 places. Hugendorn now is just outside that top 10. He's in 11th place now after gaining 20 places. Casper Reipold, 15 places gained. Bruno Blanco, 14. Benjamin Magnac, 18 places gained. There's been some huge movers in this final here, Andrew.
Benjamin Magnac currently looking like there could be some points on the card once 5-second penalties have been applied. You see Jesse Phillips pushing himself on there, trying to get into as aerodynamic a position as possible. There's your live picture on the bottom right of what the championship scores are looking like. Domain would still take the championship lead on 142, Kalesia 133. I guess that kind of shows again just how close it is out there, that the championship leader is not even on the podium here today. By the looks of things, it's going to be a series that'll run and run, I feel.
Well, you say that, but again, it just shows the consistency so far over the course of the year, and consistency can still win you a championship without a final win. I'm pretty sure if you look back to last year or the last couple of years, I'm pretty sure someone won a championship without winning a final at all. So.
Indeed, under investigation, Endo Arata. I imagine that is for the incident that we saw with Antonio Pizzonia Jr. not too long ago. Noah Baglin on his final lap then has really come to the fore, and what's impressed me most this week, Anthony, is that the calmness and the assured nature with which Noah Baglin has driven. Go back right to timed qualifying. He went out on his own. He knew he wasn't going to have a slipstream. He knew he wasn't probably going to be fastest, but he wanted to keep himself in play. He wanted to give himself a shot. He has driven fantastically this weekend. 2 corners to go. He's going to be your victor here in Portimao.
He certainly is. It was 7th in round 1. It's victory in round 2 in Portugal. Noah Baglin, with that victory, steps up to 4th in the championships as the young Ferrari Academy driver really excels here in Portugal. Tal finishes in an incredible 2nd place, his best result of memory in the Champions of the Future. Will Green finishes an impressive P3 after gaining 6 places in that final. They will make their way back to Parc Ferme and celebrations will be in order. Remember, those podiums taking place very, very soon. And the marshals out there to congratulate the the drivers as well, but all of them trying to pick up as much debris as they can onto those tyres to make sure those karts are above the minimum weight. Remember, they need to be above 140 kilos, any grab underneath that, and they're in a spot of bother with the officials. But as you can imagine, a happiness is the emotion underneath that helmet of Noah Baglin. A superb drive for the young Briton to the end of this one, and he's slowed right down. He's gone right to the back of the pack. I'm sure Andrew will appreciate that when he wants to go and chat to him and sees that he is miles away from where he should be. Here's the final classifications then. Baglin takes it ahead of Luke Tal and Will Green. We'll see them on the podium in a few moments' time. Domain, Jesse Phillips, Kalisha, Turner Brown, Lucas Sell, Dean Hugendorn, and Manuel Maguez round out the top 10 at the end of that final. Casper Reipold, Valerio Villapiana, Mark Pilapenko from Iskender Solfakari, Bruno Blanco from Benjamin Magnac, the top 16. Drew Waltz and Oliver Warner. Eli Christian, the championship leader going into this weekend, now finds himself in 19th place and sitting in 4th in the championship standings. The rest of them, as they go through, Purcell finishes in 20th place from Bosco Arias. Devin Waltz, not sure what happened to him. He did have a moment out there, but he dropped all the way back to 22nd place. Tobias Sejenny finishing in 23rd place. Alaman from Rousseau, Lubomov from Rivals, Matt Sanruan from Hugon, and Kumpin finishing in the top 30. The rest of the field, all retirements. Pitsonia, Endo Arata, Babacek, Samcek, Lazarus, and Baguti, all not making it to the end. But there is Noah Baglin. He's got a bit of a wait to go until he gets to that weighbridge, because he's now found himself all the way at the back of the field. So I think they might just squeeze him ahead, because of course he's got a podium to catch, of course, in a couple of minutes' time. He does not want to be stuck behind a huge train of karts. Here we go then. Here's a look at the highlights from that final. Initially, great getaway as Baglin choosing to switch sides of the grid. That put Chrisen, Domain, Zell, Phillips all backwards in the pack, and allowed Devin Waltz, William Kalisha to break forward at the beginning of that final. Some drama did ensue, bit of smoke getting kicked up in the background of the exit of turn number 4, but crucially everyone just getting away. That is why the smoke kept kicking up. There was quite a few drivers actually that ran wide on the exit of turn number 4. The rest of the racing going on seamlessly. Some pretty decent runs. There were some dramas though, one of them being Bosco Arias, who really did fight his way through the field at the end of that one, albeit right at the beginning. Did outbrake himself by quite some way at turn number 8 and 9, driving off the circuit. Luke Tal in the early stages getting up into 2nd place. I thought he was going to be right on the rear bumper of Baglin in the next couple of laps with that momentum he had, but they just slotted in to position. I believe that was Manuel Maguez and the CRG just running wide on that opening lap. More dramas there for the Tony Kart team. Henry Constant Kupin just caught out in an incident, as well as the battles still enraged throughout it. There was Forza Racing's Henry Domain still trying to fight for that championship lead. He did hold on to championship lead at the end of that final, despite the fact he finished down in P4, not on the podium, but will be your championship leader going into round 3 in Italy at the Viterbo circuit. Action happened throughout, drama for others. Samchek out of the race, possible incident with Alexander Lazarus out on circuit. Then you saw the retirement of Endo Arata and Antonio Pizzonia. But across the line, with no drama whatsoever for Prema Racing, Noah Baglin delivers in Portugal at the Portimao circuit, and we will see those drivers on the podium very, very soon. Do stay with us. They'll be out there, but of course don't go anywhere as well, because it will be the senior final coming up next, as there's a look at your now championship standings going into round 3 at Viterbo in Italy. Henry Domain now leads it by a fair chunk of points from William Kalija. Baglin now sits 3rd in the points ahead of Christian, so Christian dropping down 3 places in the end of this round. Hugendorn steps up and gets to 5th place. Will Green also to P6 in the standings from Luke Sell. Luke Tal in 8th place. Jesse Phillips and now Drew Waltz rounding out the top 10. His brother Devin, with that final result, unfortunately gets knocked out of the top 10 in the championship standings. But that's not to be worried about, because there is plenty of rounds to go, of course, as we head to the sunshine in Italy for that 3rd round at the Viterbo circuit, a brand new circuit for these drivers to race on in the Champions of the Future, and certainly looking forward to seeing what will happen there. But let's head down to Parc Ferme. Andrew Mather is ready with our top 3.
Thank you very much, Anthony, here with our round 2 winner in OK Junior for Champions of the Future 2025, Noah Baglin. That's looked relatively easy, but I'm sure it was anything. But talk me through the start of the race and the thought of switching on to driver's left.
Obviously, we had the rolling start, so we didn't get it first try, but second try it was very good. And me and Devin, the KR behind me, that's why we switched sides, got away at the start. And by there, I just minimised the looking behind and just drove away, to be honest.
Was it a bit of a surprise to see Luke Tal coming through? He's not been one of the race winners so far this weekend, but he was putting you under a bit of pressure there, especially in the mid stage of the race.
Yeah, I was quite surprised he got behind me, but Luke is always really quick in these kind of thing with the wind, and he caught up the toe, and I'm surprised I gapped away, to be honest, but it's good.
And in terms of your form in OKJ races, this is your 2nd win in a row. It's your 1st one here in Champions of the Future. The momentum seems to be with you now. How do you prepare for the next race?
Just do what we did today and do the same and see what we can do next race.
And the work that the team have put in over the last few days, it's been a roller coaster journey here at Portimao for everyone in OK Junior. How big have they been in getting you into this position?
Yeah, the team has done amazing to put me the support to get P1. We've always been quick the whole weekend, so to do this is amazing.
Fantastic stuff. Well done, Noah. It's been great watching you come through. We'll just try and pull Luke Tal in for a second as well. 2nd place in the final here today. Luke, what a drive. Really took us by surprise. You had great pace on those new tyres.
Yeah, definitely. I improved straight away from the start. I tried to gain as much positions as possible, which actually worked out. I start gaining more and more up to 2nd, and yeah, just drove the race behind Noah, tried to gap everybody with Noah, and it did work out.
Very good. We'll have a very, very quick word with Will Green as well. Will, just quickly come to us here. Will, 3rd on the podium. Will, another great result for you in your debut season in OKJ. That looked like a good battle out there with the likes of Domain and others.
Yeah, it was not an easy race. I had a decent start and was able to get into about 5th, and then just kept my pace throughout the race and was able to pull away a bit from behind, and yeah, finished 3rd, which is good.
Great stuff, Will. We'll see you on the podium in a few moments' time, and I think we are now ready for our first podium of the afternoon.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Yes, we are indeed a very exciting final in the end, but our top three, a very close battle with so many positions gained. And we start with third position representing the United Kingdom and the Kart Republic team. In the number 51, it's Will Green. In second position, representing the Victory Lane karting team and the Netherlands in the number 96 machine, it's Luc Taal. And your race winner in the final here in Portimao for Portimao Racing in the United Kingdom, it's the number 8, Noah Baglin. And of course, not forgetting, please welcome onto the team as well, Kart Republic. And the Portimao team. We will now listen to the national anthem of the United Kingdom. Big round of applause to your top three in the final in OK Junior. We'd now like to welcome James Geidel, the CEO of RGMMC, to present the winners' trophies. And firstly, heading to third position, Will Green. The second place trophy heading to Luc Taal. And the winners' trophy heading to Noah Baglin. And finally, the team's trophy heading to Portimao Racing. A brilliant end for their weekend. Will drivers hold those trophies nice and high up in the air. Nice big smiles for all of the photographers out there after a fabulous weekend in the sunshine. And finally, we'll get all of you on the top step of that podium. Squeeze in nice and tight. Nice big smiles once more as many plushed animals joining them on the podium this weekend. But nice big smiles once more. One more big round of applause, please, ladies and gentlemen, for your top three in the OK Junior final. Well, it's not over just yet, of course, because now it comes the favourite part of the weekend for them. Maybe duck and cover any plushed animals as well. They probably don't want to get covered in anything bubbly. If we head over now, drivers, are we ready? Are we steady? 3, 2, 1, in the sunshine here, champagne! What a brilliant end for the top three. Baglin's run off. He's been chased by Luc Taal. Taal and Baglin are now running through the paddock with something fizzy in their hands. I'm watching them. They've now left the paddock. They're no longer in the paddock. Well, there we go. Good stuff. There is a podium here that they should have done that on, but they're now on the main road. But don't go anywhere. There is still one more race to go. Seniors, they are coming up next.
They are indeed. Thank you very much, Anthony. Thank you very much, everyone down there at the podium. One more race to go here in Portimao for this Champions of the Future Round 2 weekend. And it is, of course, the senior category. The OKs are out next for their final 20 laps for this one to be decided. Just over 30.5 kilometres round this Cartodromo Internacional do Algarve. Andrew Mather and Anthony Jordan on commentary duties for you here this afternoon, and there you see the sight of 36 drivers from around the world walking out onto the circuit ahead of this final. It's been quite a battle to get to this stage, and there's several drivers who I think they will be backing themselves to look for victory, if not a podium here today in the sunshine. Perfect conditions, the blue skies still above us, of course, and there at the very front of the field, Joe Turney will be on pole position for this one. Had a great run through the qualifying heats, a little bit of difficulty in the 5th round of heats on used tyres yesterday. And a battling performance in the superheat on the new half set. What has he learned from that superheat ahead of this final, where everybody is on fresh Maxxis Prime rubber. And we can also see that Joe Turney has elected to stay on driver's right for this one. He was on driver's left for most of the starts earlier on in the competition. He tried the right-hand side out, the conventional side, earlier on this morning in the super heats, and he's elected to go for that for this final. Jacopo Martinezzi will be alongside him on the front row. Bit of detail about the category. Drivers in the year of their 14th birthday and older. 31 nations represented in the field this week. 36 of them qualified for this final, and 15 of them will be looking to get points later on today. The engines, 125cc, around 39 horsepower. It is the top class of direct drive single gear karting in the world. 150 kilograms the minimum weight, 70 of those kilos being the kart without the fuel. And the tyres, much talked about this weekend. It's just been the primes in action. No need for the rain tyres this weekend. Those 6 tyres, those 6 primes have taken them through TQ, 5 rounds of qualifying heats and the super heat. It's a new set for everybody who's qualified for this final race of the weekend. Anthony Jordan rejoins me here in the box. Great scenes down there at the podium, mate, for the juniors. We turn our attention to the seniors. I think this one's going to be pretty good.
Great scenes on the podium, yes, but then they all ran off with those bottles of champagne. They ended up in the local village, I think, some 2 kilometres down the road. But no, they're all back now. And yeah, indeed, these seniors really looking forward to this one because a big fight is ahead of the drivers. Joe Turner, Jacopo Martinezzi, last few words to each other with our race director, Martin Bean, before they get going for this one. Both of them have really impressed me. However, they were not the winners of those super heats earlier on,
Nope.
despite the fact both of them had fresh tyres saved for those super heats. It was Daniel Keller and Timo Ramikas who actually took the win in those. But there are the championship standings going into this final. Only 4 points separates those two starting on the front row of the grid, which means, oh my, are we going to have a feisty fight on our hands for this one. Costoya, who sits third in the points, winner of the final in Campillos going into this round, was points leader, now third with 106, and starts this final on the 9th row of the grid in P17. 22nd place he finished earlier on after a post-race time penalty.
It just shows how quickly this game can change, doesn't it? Costoya's championship lead at the start of the weekend was 24 points from Martinezzi. Costoya now finds himself 14 points back. But the positive spin on that is, well, we've seen it swing one way. Who knows? It could swing the other way in this final. And it is long enough to have drivers make their way through.
It certainly is. And this is how they will line up. Joe Turney and Jacopo Martinezzi on the front row of the grid. They will have Louis Cochet and Daniel Keller for close company on row number 2. Lewis Francis and Timo Ramikas round out row 3. They'll be closely followed by the Mercedes young driver Kenzo Craigie, and now Ferrari young driver Filippo Sala on row 4. Luna Flusha and Aston Sharp go for row 5. They'll have Dean Pedersen and Chiara Batig on row number 6. Alpac Soy and Jensen Burnett go from row 7. Marco Gast and Marcus Schilkunis round out row number 8, with Christian Costoya and Dries van Langedonk, 2 very big names, starting all the way back on the 9th row of the grid.
Zach Drummond and Vegard Clemetson go from the 10th row of the grid in this final. Leo Nielsen and Noah Wolf will share row 11. Gino Rocchio and Jakub Mikulev form up the 12th row of the grid. They're ahead of Thomas Prelier and Victor Gustafsson on row 13. Row 14, Emili Koivisto and Yuri Peschel, 2 drivers who've had some good results so far this week. Oliver Kinmark and Vladimir Ivanikov complete the top 30 on row 15. Lev Krutilov and Sebastiano Pavan can be 2 drivers to keep an eye on from row 16. They're ahead of Oliver Stadler and Lewis Werrell, who did manage to qualify for this final. They're on row 17. Last of the 36 runners in this one, row 18, Hugo Marti and Elliot Kaczynski.
It all falls down to that man there, Joe Turney. Can he maintain that championship lead by the end of this final? It is only 4 points between himself and Jacopo Martinezzi, who starts right alongside him. The pressure is high for these 2 drivers, but you can imagine that these two have been working well together over the course of these last few races, these last few days here at the Portimao circuit. They're both of the same team. They're both of great caliber, great personalities in the paddock as well. But it's just a case of who is going to beat the other out on track. As soon as those visors are down, I think friendships end. They all are for themselves, and they just want to get to the end of these races on top of the points. But again, I just can't put it down to which one it could be.
No, I can't either. What I will say is I think it's going to be a big test for Martinez, who as one of those drivers stepping up to the senior category. Turney, of course, has been doing this for many a year. He's been in this position many times before. I remember back to this time 12 months ago where he really started to get in his stride in the European competitions. Could he do so again? There's Louis Cachet. Keep an eye on Louis Cachet. Very quick in race pace. When I've been looking at the data of who's had the consistency in terms of lap time, this young man has kept appearing again and again and again. And the fact that we're now back onto fresh Maxxis Prime rubber could be just the platform that Louis Cachet and Victory Lane Karting need to pull off a big result here today.
Yeah, they certainly could. They've already got one driver who's had luck on the podium in the juniors. Could they get another in the seniors? Daniel Keller for the Factory Kart Republic team starts this one on that second row of the grid. Winner of his superheats earlier on as well, knows how to get around this lap quickly. He did also have the fresh tyres for his superheat earlier on. He got them up to a good working temperature. We watched him out racing with Joe Turney, and Turney also with the fresh rubber couldn't get the temperature into the tyres. Well, if it wasn't temperature, maybe it was overworking them, but I don't know, because he wasn't able to utilise them.
Yeah, a bit of a surprise earlier on today. And what I will say about Kelleher, when we go back to Thursday in the TQ sessions and the free practice runs when everybody was dialing themselves in, Kelleher on fresh rubber has looked very, very quick all weekend. So that performance in the superheat this morning will have given him a lot of confidence. Air temperature 21 degrees here in Portugal. Clear blue skies, as mentioned. The track is dry. You could not ask for better conditions, in my opinion, for kart racing.
I could.
You could?
Yeah.
What would you go for?
I could have an ice cream while I'm doing this.
Oh, that's a very good point.
Yeah, I know, never mind.
Sorry,
you're on the
floor. We can't
floor
have everything, can we? On the formation laps then, Turney and Martinez out front. Cachet and Kelleher row 2. Keep an eye on Lewis Francis as well. Wasn't at his sparkling best in the superheat this morning, but again was pretty good on newer rubber in the last round of heats yesterday. And Thibaut Ramekes as well, I'm just going to mention. I know people who listen to our comms are probably like, oh, here we go, another Thibaut Ramekes pick. P6 on the grid. He's in range, and I just go back to that performance in the superheat this morning, and it was like, ooh, Thibaut was woken up and had his cornflakes this morning, as we've seen him do before on a finals day. He is going to be one to watch there from the outside of row number 3.
There is race control. Joanna Falcao, David Manchester, Sam Fisher, not to be confused with the fictional game character either, because yes, I know we do sometimes confuse him with that one. He's trying his hardest not to giggle at that as well. I'm sure they're listening in there as well in the race control building. But they've been keeping an eye on all of the cameras out there on circuit, 40 of them, to make sure the drivers stay nice and safe. But there's also 41 cameras, because there's one there in the commentary box. That one snuck in at the beginning of the weekend. No one told us it was there. They just did that. But, you know, this weekend so far, Andrew, we've had the brilliant race in the qualifying heats. We had the challenging weather conditions that we saw. Now it's all down to this one, the senior category, the best of the best from around the world in direct drive karting. They're here to go racing at a brilliant venue. And again, I've said it time and time out, you just can't put it on one. Everyone, your heart and your mind says Joe Turney in this one. It has to, because he's just been an excelled driver throughout many years, back off a very successful season last year, and now fighting this year. We're not going this time. We're definitely going around again. But, you know, for Martinez, the young gun, it is one of these where you just can't let him off the leash here. He's definitely one that could close in. Francis, though, has impressed me over the course of this one. He had a great season last year. I think his first podium that he got with Val d'Argenton, if I remember, in saying, in a very successful campaign in 2024. He is one of those drivers who I think could sneak through here and really play a pivotal role.
Filippo Salo is another one I'm going to keep an eye on in this race. Anthony starts on the outside of row number 4. His Achilles heel last year in the juniors was finals, not quite being able to carry the early weekend pace through the course of the longer races, but he's been doing a good job there on the Esprit chassis for Forza Racing. Keep an eye out as well for Luna Flusha and Chiara Batigue. Great to see both of them from TQ. Brilliant performances, supporting one another. They're good friends in the paddock. So Luna Flusha starts on the inside of row number 5. Chiara Batigue on the outside of row number 6. And they both had DNFs during their heats as well. So those positions aren't truly reflective of their race pace.
Certainly isn't. Well, here we go then into the tram line. Sana's got a bit of a gap between himself and the kart in front, but that closes in now. Are we going racing then? Last time this weekend? Yes, we are. And it's even Stevens from the front 2 rows, because look at this. Martinez and Turney absolutely wheel to wheel down and towards turn number 1. But Martinez has to relinquish that spot. But amazingly, he holds on to second place. That's the best start we've seen from a pole sitter on the outside of row 1 all weekend.
That was a very good run from Martinez. Most of the time we've seen a second place runner drop to around 5th or 6th. Then Martinez has got it spot on here. Whether there will be a bit of tactics at play, as that was Kelleher down the inside taking 3rd place from Cachet. Ramika's under attack as well there to try and hold on to 5th place. I just wonder if the instruction to these two at the front has been, right, play it nice and easy in the first few laps, guys. Let's try and break away from the rest of the field to try and lock out the podium for the Kart Republic's Works team. Right now, that would be exactly the result that they would get. End of lap number 1. Turney leads, not by much. As
no.
Luna Flusha's out, and the 278, the victory lane of Vegard Clementson, is out. Flusha, who was so quick in TQ, will not score points in the final. Meanwhile, back at the front, change for the lead. Martinez has got past Turney.
Oh, and that's off the track. That is Kelleher. He's out of the race. The chances of a treble podium for the Kart Republic factory team is not over, but it's certainly diminished for the time being, as now one of them is out of that top 3, and that looks mechanical in nature to me. Just at the exit of turn number 3, it's gone off the circuit, and he's out of this race. But crucially for Flusha and the Vegard Clementson, they're out of this race, and that's Dries van Langendonk. And another one of the Premier Cuts is that Alpac Soy in the 249. It is indeed. They are falling like flies, and these are big names falling like flies as well. This is very, very dramatic in this opening stages, and Clementson is the driver who's under investigation for that incident down by potentially causing a collision down at turn 13. This is probably going to be what that incident is. Yep. They're on the inside, and the door just closes, clips that rear wheel. Very lucky not to actually fully flip there. But that is such a shame for the two of them, and really difficult to get it started because it's uphill battle. Now, Vegard Clemenson's done the wrong thing there. He's tried to restart it going downhill the wrong way on the circuit. You're not allowed to do that. There, though, was the lead change, and that was just nicely done. Big check over the shoulder there for Turney to see what happened, and then, just straight off the track for Daniel Kelly. It all just kicked off in the lap 2 or 3 there of that race.
It's a 20-lap race, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think we're going to be able to get through this one if that level of intrigue continues. That was a nice move down the inside by Dean Pedersen. Another one of the KR runners, the American, through and trying to move up through the top 10. Martinez is driving away from Turney here. The gap up to 3.5 tenths at the last check. Joe Turney's got to dig deep here if he wants to win this race. Has a very strong record around this Portimao circuit. Won a European round, if my memory serves me correctly, back here in 2022. Chiara Batigue is currently the fastest driver out there on circuit, a 55.723, using the new tyres, using the rubbered in track. There is a sight of the live championship scores, and we would have another lead change in the championship, the second of the weekend. Martinez, as things stand, would leave Portugal with a 2-point lead.
Well, there is live pictures of Alpac Soy and Dries van Langendonk clearly not chatting to each other, and there's
Aston
more
Sharp.
drama. Aston Sharp out of the race, and so is Louis Cachet. Another 2 heavy hitters in this final are out of it, and they were fighting right up in that top section around 3rd, 4th place. What is going on here, Andrew? Drivers who have been so strong this weekend, are now just falling like flies, and all that's doing is allowing these two to break away cleanly at the front.
Can scarcely believe what's happened so far in this race, and it now means that Thibaut Ramekers is looking at a potential spot on the podium. Filippo Sala is there in 4th place. Lewis Francis, Dean Pedersen, all in this group trying to chase the young Belgian down. We've still got the best part of 3/4 of this race to go. It just doesn't feel like it's going to calm down. No, Wolf's on the move as well. It's up 12 places, like we saw from the Britain in the Van Amersfoort Racing by Birrell machine this morning in the Superheat. Wolf is up into the top 10. Thomas Pradier is on a charge as well. Very up and down weekend so far for the Frenchman, but Tony Cartworks team have been put to work on that 223, up 14 positions so far in this race.
Yep, so far. But again, still a long way to go in this one, and I don't think we can keep up with this one, Andrew. Ramekers, though, sets the fastest lap of the race, 55.605. We're now starting to see those tyres that we were seeing we saw in qualifying. Remember, it was a 55.0 that we saw. We were expecting some 54 seconds, but we didn't quite reach that in TQ earlier on this weekend. There is Sala, there is Francis battling away nicely. Pedersen just behind as well, but keep a close eye there. Thomas Pradier started this race 25th, currently 11th, just outside the top 10 after gaining 14 places. He is on a charge here currently, is the Thomas Pradier.
We need to keep an eye on Thibaut Ramekers here, because he's absolutely flying. That was a 55.495 as Aston Sharp is under investigation for potentially causing a collision. Ramekers 55.495 last time around. Turney 56.0. Ramekers is half a second quicker than Joe Turney right now. Martinez was a 55.8, and with a number of laps remaining in this one, Thibaut Ramekers has a genuine chance of winning this race. The big if, though, is right now, is he using too much of his fresh Maxxis Prime tyres? He's charged away from Sala, Francis and Pedersen, and that needed to be done from Lewis Francis down the inside. Takes 4th place away from Filippo Sala. I'm surprised it didn't happen a bit earlier at the rate at which Ramekers has disappeared off the front of this group. End of lap number 7. Martinez's lead is now nearly 3/4 of a second. What was the pace like that time around? 55.7 for Martinez, 55.9, a new personal best for Turney. But Ramekers is still turning an extortionate amount of speed. That was another 55.6.
Very, very consistent pace from Thibaut Ramekers, still there in 3rd place, pushing through nicely as we keep an eye on this battle. Francis now breaking away from Sala, who continues here to hold on to that position, not allowing the likes of Pedersen. Now Jensen Burnett has closed in as well. Burnett might go for the move on Pedersen here if he doesn't get the move done on Sala. Well, he looked to the inside there, not quite close enough, as that backs them all into each other. That now gives Craigie, Wolf, Pradier all the chance as well. Those big movers are now closing in on these lead battles here, Andrew. This could certainly shake things up. Speaking of lead battles, Ramekers continues to close in on Joe Turney. That last lap, 55.9 for Turney, 55.7 for Ramekers. The gap is down to 0.8 of a second between, or 0.6 of a second, I should say, between these two, as they continue to fight on. There is yellow flags out at turn number 1. There is a driver off the circuit. I think that might be Victor Gustafsson out of this race, because that is a CRG in the wall. He is out of the kart and over the barrier. I can see from my commentary box. There he is on your screen, and that is the former KZ World Champion out of this final in 2025.
Yeah, it's not been the kind of weekend that Gustafsson would have liked. There were glimmers of the speed that we know the Swede has, but it's never really got going here in Portugal. Yellow flags still out, waved yellow flags down into turn 1. The leaders are through that region of the course now. Martinez's lead now 1 second. These are really important laps, I feel, for Jacopo Martinez to push hard, but not too hard. Not to take too much out of his materials at this stage, because Turney's going to be closed in here by Ramekers. Now the question is, does Ramicus go through? Does Ramicus sit there, try and work as a tandem to close Martinez in? How does Thibaut Ramicus play these next few laps? If it's like we saw earlier on this morning in the superheats, he'll look to just pick them off one by one with that efficiency he's known for in these finals. Down the inside, Pedersen on Sala. Sala's going to have a go back, but has to think a better part about that one. Through goes Pedersen into 5th place, and now Sala has to deal with his teammate Jensen Burnett.
Here we go then. Ramicus has closed in on Turney. This is the battle for 2nd place. It's 0.2 of a second. He will have the slipstream now. He will have the tow. These two have raced each other all through last year. They had a very close fight with each other last year. But this year is a brand new one. They've been a little bit separated for the time being. But Ramicus now is currently sitting 6th in the standings with 75 points. Turney sitting 2nd in the points with 168. He's 2 points shy now from Jacopo Martinez, but he might be a couple more short by Martinez if Ramicus can get this move done. He's wasting no time down the inside. That was a very tidy and clean move there from Thibaut Ramicus.
Spot on, that's what he needed to do. Won't have lost too much time with that one. Going past Turney through turn 13. So that's the end of lap 11. 9 laps to go. Thibaut Ramicus, 1.6 seconds is the gap as another one of the KRs is out. We'll work out who that is in this. Jacob Mikulev in the 251. That's not been a successful restart. That'll be Maltese driver out of this race.
It will be, and I think he may have had a coming together maybe with Hugo Marti, because he also dropped down the order, but he's still up in this race by 8 positions. So Joe Turney not fighting that one too hard. He's still he's thinking long game here. He's thinking championship. Again, it's all a test really for them over the course of this season to see what they can do. But again, this is still a controlled drive, I think, from both of them. This was that Jacob Mikulev moment. Trips over. So that is Hugo Marti going into the back of Jacob Mikulev. And that's how Mikulev has gone round. That's why both of them dropped downwards, and that was the failed restart. And unfortunately, Jacob Mikulev going no further. Seemingly didn't look like that was anything to do with him.
No, that's a real shame for Jacob Mikulev. And there is the note from Race Control that Hugo Marti is now under investigation for causing a collision. So 8 laps to go. We're on lap number 13. Ramicus has closed the gap to 1.4 seconds, now 1.3 seconds. And this is my concern for Ramicus in terms of his race-winning hopes. He has got to dig so deep into his pockets of talent that he have. They are very deep pockets of talent, but I just fear that the effort to close in and catch Martinez may mean he's not quite got enough in hand to then have a go for the lead in the latter stages. He's got to hit every single apex right between now and the end of this race. We're having a look at the fight for 4th on your screens. Lewis Francis and Dean Pedersen both can be very pleased, I think, with their efforts here this weekend.
Oh yeah, 100%. Solid performances across the board in all the qualifying heats. They've put themselves in a really strong position for those super heats as well. Delivered there and now delivering in this final. Yes, okay, they might not be sitting in a podium position spot right now, but they are still in a comfortable position, getting good championship points, not only for themselves, but team points as well over the course of the season for the Kart Republic team. Just showcasing that, they are next in line to really be those #1 drivers for the team. Of course, at this moment, you would say that has to be Joe Turney, the #1 driver for the Kart Republic team. He's delivered so much for them. But these drivers are all underneath his wake right now, just showcasing what they can do and really showcasing, their ability in the course of this 2025 season.
And it's a big part of how KR run their operation. You look back at the form that they had in 2024, and yes, Joe Turney was a very deserving champion, both in Champions of the Future and the FIA Europeans, as that is the latest problem for Luna Flusha. Things have quite literally fallen apart this weekend in the final. It's a real shame. I'm
quite impressed she got that going. She had to push that uphill to get that restarted, so that's actually fair play. But like you say, she's got a sizable amount of damage on board of that wagon.
This just going back to the battle of the KRs, the strength in numbers that they have with strong drivers to take points off their rivals in other teams. It's a big part of the success that they had across the course of last season. Talking of those rivals, Christian Costoya, we should mention, is up to 7th place. I think a little bit of soul searching perhaps for Costoya this weekend. He's been quick. He's been really, really quick through the qualifying heats, but arguably got involved in some stuff yesterday that didn't pan out so well. He's still going to score some decent points in this race, which come the end of the season could be very, very important indeed. But that's a gain of 10 places for the Parolin Motorsport team leader. Meanwhile, Anthony back at the front of the order. Gap is continuing to come down, but not at a rate that I would say is going to worry the Italian at the front of the field. It's down to 1.1 seconds now. But where we were talking about 3/4 tenths being the difference per lap at the start of this race, we're now talking half a tenth here or there.
Yeah, it's slowly coming down, but the question, the statement is that it's still coming down. He is gaining on Martinez. The fight isn't over. Yes, okay, time is very quickly running out. But when you look at the second times that goes through, it was 1.1 at the beginning. It's already nearly just 1 second. As soon as it starts to get to less than a second, that's when you start to think as a driver, right, definitely closing in now. I'm in that position. I'm moments away from getting the slipstream. But as he crosses the line now, it then goes back to 1.1. So, you know, it's one of those tricky moments. I don't want to say it's over for him, but, you know, it's a valiant effort nonetheless in this race. There you can see the grandstand that has filled up pretty nicely, as well as the other viewing areas here of people watching along. They've got a great view of the braking zone down in towards turn 2 there. This is that replay earlier on. This is Luna Flusha and that moment for her, and that was a big one. And I want to just say, you know, on that restart when she got it going, that was quite impressive that she got it back up. That's just Hugo Marti colliding into the back of Jakub Mikulev, and Mikulev unfortunately also out of the race, but of course Marti under investigation. Well, once again the gap's come back down to less than a second. What is it when they cross the line this time around? Again, it holds the same. It's still just fluctuating in that holding that 1 second gap. Martinez has done a brilliant job to hold on to that one. For him, they would probably be thinking, well, you know, it was an all right race, but I didn't really do much in it. But, you know, you've done everything you needed to do here, Jacopo. You've held on to the lead. You managed to overtake Joe Turner. You managed to pull the gap on Joe. And now you lead the championship by 8 championship points as well, going into round 3 in Italy.
It's one of the things that you always like to see from a driver when they take that step from the junior to the senior categories. We've always known that Jacopo Martinez has been quick. We've known that for years, watching him come through the Italian championships and many others. But to see the maturity with which he's pieced this weekend together, you think back to that qualifying heat yesterday, where he had pretty much the whole field behind him. You know, a less experienced, a less mature driver would have perhaps lost their head at that point and not got the kind of results that he did get. He won that heat, and we saw afterwards he didn't look happy, did he? You knew that there was something that needed to be worked on, that the team needed to get together and resolve the engineering challenges. And so far in this one, it looks like they've done that with absolute brilliance. 1.5 laps to go now for Jacopo Martinez. The gap is holding well above that kind of half a second danger window for any lone driver out front. Ramekers will keep pushing on, of course. Wants to keep Martinez honest. Turney is pretty safe at the moment in 3rd place. Yes, some 4.5 seconds behind these two, but a good 1.3 seconds clear of Pedersen.
Certainly so. On to the last lap then of this 20-lap final. Jacopo Martinez in the lead of this race is securing the championship lead by 8 points ahead of Joe Turney on this final lap. There is a look at a replay of Ramekers sideways through the final corner. He is pushing that VDK machine, that Kart Republic chassis, right to the ragged edge, and that did lose him quite a bit of time. Yes, it may have looked fun, but it was quite slow because his now gap is now 1.2 seconds. But Martinez delivered really strong results this weekend. 8th in qualifying, 2 qualifying heat wins. Worst results was a P7. Did a great job in that final finishing in the superheat finishing P2, and he knows it already, nodding the head. That's a victory. Well done for the Italian as he heads to his home country as a championship leader. Jacopo Martinez dominates in Portugal. The Italian wins in fine fashion from Thibaut Ramekers and Joe Turney. They will ease it down now and head back to Parc Ferme. But for Jacopo Martinez, he's slowed down so much, he's out of shot now. There is your second and third place drivers going through. There is the rest of the field. Dean Pedersen going through shot. A great result for the American, finishing in P4. Costoya in the end of that one. You know, we didn't say much about him in that final, but the Spaniard gained 12 places to finish inside the top 5. That's an extraordinary achievement for him. And that keeps him in the championship fights as well, because that puts him third in the points with 136. So only about 30 or so points behind Joe Turney in the end of round 2. And those two will continue their fight, I can imagine, going into this one. But there you can see delightment on Jacopo Martinez. He is the happiest young Italian, I think, here this weekend. And he will make his way back to Parc Ferme knowing he leads the championship standings going into his home country at the Viterbo circuit in Italy in a few months' time. There is your biggest mover of the race inside the top 10. Thomas Proderi got to 8th place in the end of that one from P25. 17 place gained in that race from the rest of the grid. And we'll go over that full lineup as well. Here it is on your screen. Jacopo Martinez from Thibaut Ramekers. Joe Turney, we'll see them on the podium later on, from Dean Pedersen. Christian Costoya, Lewis Francis, Jenson Burnett, Thomas Proderi, Chiara Batigue, Filippo Sala round out the top 10. Noah Wolf just outside the top 10. 11 places gained, though, to finish in P11. Lev Krutilov, 19 places gained to finish in P12 ahead of Vladimir Vanikov. 17 places gained into 13th place. Sebastiano Pavan with 18 places gained finishes in P14 ahead of Marcus Shilkunas. Zach Drummond from Marco Gast. Lewis Werrell, 16 places gained. After those retirements earlier on in the weekend, he finishes that final just inside that top 20 from Leo Nielsen and Kenzo Craigie, who round out the top 20. Peschel, Rocchio, Kinmark, Koivisto, Marti, Kaczynski, Stadler, and Luna Flusha round out the 28 finishers in that race. But there on your screen, Jacopo Martinez, smiles all around. The Italian is on top, going to Italy. A brilliant end to their racing here, and let's have a look at those highlights from the race, because it was Joe Turney who was on pole position and managed to streak away right at the beginning, but it was the superb start from Jacopo Martinez from the outside of row number 1. Usually we see the other pole sitter really struggle from the outside line, and they get swapped back into the pack. They go around to about P4, P5, but not Martinez. He held on to second place right at the beginning of that one and just drove away with the likes of Joe Turney to later get past him a few laps later. Dramas happened in the early stages. There was Daniel Kelleher getting up into 3rd place past Louis Cochet. Ramekers getting through as well. Cochet would get involved in an incident later on with Aston Sharp. There was the first moment, unfortunately, that saw Vengar Clementson and Luna Flusha collide. Flusha able to get it restarted, but with a hefty amount of damage on board the front of that Iron Dames liveried Prema kart. But the rest of the racing going on. This was the Jacopo Martinez change for the lead, getting through. There was Daniel Kelleher, unfortunately, just seemingly breaking down and out of the race. He didn't know what had happened, pulls off the circuit, and the car grinds to a halt. He looks down and sees what happened. Then there was the likes of Dries van Langendonk and Alpak Soy, and no real words exchanged between the two of them. But both of them out of the final, and that is a huge shame for them. This is Aston Sharp and Louis Cochet as well. They got tangled in a moment as well. I think a little later on in the lap, there you can see Sharp walking away, not even looking at Louis Cochet, just thinking, what happened there? What did you do? And I think it was just a move down the inside. There's the replay still on the left-hand side of your screen. The live view on the right-hand side as they head in towards Parc Ferme. Of course, they need to be checked over to make sure they're all legal and above board. There was the likes of Victor Gustafsson out of the race. A relatively calm weekend for Victor Gustafsson, former world and European champion, but finds himself out of this final Ramekers to second place. Got the move done from Joe Turney. Closed in an almighty gap. There's another look at it from behind, but just a beautiful little overtake there. Not wasting any time. Not thinking, you know, we don't need to attack this one too hard. There, though, Hugo Marti into the back of Jakub Mikulev, and Mikulev unfortunately out of the race. There was the, well, he wasn't really allowed to restart that, but he tried it anyway because we were much further into the race, and yeah, unfortunately he wasn't able to get it going. The damage to Luna Flusha's kart there, but she kept going, was quite something, as sideways out of the final corner was Ramekers, but winning over the line was Jacopo Martinez, the Italian, on top here in Portugal as we head to the Viterbo circuit for round 3 of the Champions of the Future in a few months' time, or in a few weeks' time, I should say. It's not far away, that round at all. So those 3 drivers will be heading to the podium in a brief moment, but before that we will be heading down to Andrew Mather, who will be chatting with them. There is a look at your current championship standings. Martinez leads it now with 170 points ahead of Joe Turney's 162. 8 points separates the top 2 heading into round 3. Christian Costoya recovered back in that race after starting it on the 9th row of the grid. He ended up finishing inside the top 5, and that makes sure he holds on to a 3rd place in the standings with 136. Lewis Francis with 99, Kenzo Craigie with 94 inside the top 5. Ramekers with 81 points now steps up to 6th in the standings from Dries van Langendonk, Filippo Sala, Daniel Keller, and Dean Pedersen. Well, let's head down to Parc Ferme. Our winners are rating with Andrew Mather.
Thank you very much, Anthony, here with our round 2 winner for Champions of the Future 2025, Jacopo Martinez. Jacopo, what a race. Really, really tough battle out there. Where does that rank, do you think, amongst your victories?
Oh, everything started, okay, yeah, first lap I was trying to not do anything special, nothing really wrong. Yeah, Joe was in front of me, and then I decided to go in front and decide the pace. Yeah, then it was, every lap I was trying to do, I was trying to not do as many mistakes as possible. And then when I looked behind at the beginning of the last lap, I saw that there was a gap, and I just had to bring it on.
How aware are you of the pace of Thibaut Ramekers? He was taking a lot of time out of both you and Turney in the early stages. Oh,
at the beginning, I didn't really want to look behind. I decided to. I was preferring to stay concentrated for the world race. I've seen already in the Super Heat that this pace was good, but yeah, I was like, is he gonna catch me or not? In case I have something left in the tire for the last couple of laps.
And what kind of momentum does this result give you? You're in the lead of the championship now. Do you think you've got the pace and the knowledge of the circuits remaining this season to keep on top?
Well, we've been to Viterbo in the early months of this year. We've been also ready to Rodby. I think they're both quite good track, and everything is going to be decided there.
Well done, Jacopo. We'll have a very quick chat with Thibaut Ramekers. Thibaut, another super run on a final, so you've got to be happy with that.
Yeah, I'm happy. It was a great race. The start was nice, and after I had the speed, so yeah, really good race.
Well, we'll just go to Joe Turney as well. Joe, tough day out there. P3 though, solid points for the championship.
Yeah, decent. Yeah, I was sort of nursing a bit of a problem all the race. So we had good speed for the first 4 laps, and I was with Jacopo, and then a bit of an issue that I carried to the end. But yeah.
Good stuff, mate. We'll see you on the podium, and it sounds like we are ready for that podium in the OK category.
Thank you very much, Andrew Mather. Yes, we are indeed. After a very tense final at the beginning of that race, it then settled into a rhythm with our top 3 finishing on the podium. And we'll start with 3rd position, last year's reigning senior champion for Kart Republic in the 201. It's Joe Turney. In 2nd position for the VDK Racing team, a brilliant drive after gaining 4 places, it's Thibaut Ramekers. And your race winner and now championship leader for Kart Republic for Italy, it's Jacopo Martinez. And please welcome onto the team a representative for Kart Republic. We will now listen to the national anthem of Italy. Give it up, ladies and gentlemen, for your top three in the Senior OK final here in Portimao. We'd now like to welcome James Geidel, the CEO of RGMMC, to present the Winners' Trophy. And firstly, to third position, Joe Turney. The second place trophy heading to Thibaut Ramekers. And the Winners' Trophy heading to Jacopo Martinez. And finally, the Team's Trophy once more heading to Kart Republic. A brilliant end for the Kart Republic team. 3 factory karts on the podium, but of course 1 with the VDK team. While drivers lift those trophies nice and high up in the air for me, please, above your head. Nice big smiles at the end of your beautiful final in the lovely sunshine here in the south of Portugal. And finally, if we get you all on the top step of that podium as well, you can join Carey the Lion up there as well. Nice big smiles at the end of your quite long final here as we head, of course, to the sunshine in Italy at the Viterbo circuit for round 3. Well, now we'd like to present the drivers with those bottles of champagne. It's the last time this weekend they get to do it. Maybe duck and cover Carey the Lion. Yep, Jacopo Martinez with the good idea there. Are we ready? Are we steady? Let's not run away from the podium. 3, 2, 1, it's champagne! Well, there you have it. The seniors know how to do it. A brilliant end to their final here, and a congratulations to the top 3 in that final. Brilliant stuff from the best of them. A fantastic end to their final here in the sunshine. But of course, it all heads to Italy for round 3, with Jacopo Martinez now as a championship leader, going into it by only 8 points. We will see you in a few weeks' time in the sunshine in Italy, but from us here at the Portimao circuit for round 2 of the Champions of the Future, it is goodbye for now.